My name is Avery Hollis, and I'm 27. There's an ivory invitation on my kitchen counter with my older sister's name in curling gold script, and there are 3 coffee rings stamped across its corner like small eclipses. It's been there long enough to collect a skin of dust, to grow heavier than paper should feel. It doesn't bend when I try to push it aside. It just refuses to move, like the past that came wrapped with it. People like to tell tidy stories about families. If they can fold pain into a parable, they'll choose that over a mess every time. Get over it. It's just one day. Don't ruin her happiness. I've heard all the lines, especially after Dad's birthday dinner, the night I said what I'd kept lodged in my throat for a decade, and my mother's face froze like wet concrete. The night my brother called me dramatic. The night my older sister Caroline whispered, "Why now?" And the air turned into something I couldn't breathe. I don't know how to explain the silence that followed except to say it's not empty. It's a crowd. It presses in. It corrects your memories while it smiles. On the morning of Caroline's wedding, I put on jeans and an old hoodie and drive west. The road to the coast is a long gray sentence that doesn't end until the ocean interrupts. The sky is the color of milk glass. The water is a slab, the wind impatient, the kind that finds whatever is loose inside you and shakes it. I walk until my fingers go numb and my ears sting, and something inside me stops rehearsing the argument I'll never win. My phone buzzes all day and I don't look. Somewhere under those calls, there's a text from Liam, my boyfriend, who is gentle in a way I don't know what to do with. He asked last night if I wanted him to come with me. I told him no. I told him that going would make him a character in a story he didn't consent to. He said he'd wait for me to call. He always says that like waiting is easy. By sunset, I'm sitting on cold sand with my shoes off, toes burrowed like they're trying to plant me. I finally check my phone. 17 missed calls. Mom's voicemail, brittle as spun sugar. "Avery, this is a family day. Don't be selfish." 3 texts from my brother, escalating from grow up to unforgivable. One from a number I don't have saved anymore. Jenna Morales, Liam's ex. 2 words, be careful. I stare at that for a long second, confused and irritated. Why does she still have my number? Why does she think she can insert herself into anything that touches me? The last message is from Maya, my younger sister. An address, coordinates to a town 2 hours north, and 3 words, come tonight alone. Every instinct I've honed for survival says manipulation, says trap, says you'll walk in and somehow you'll walk out carrying more blame than when you arrived. That's how it has always worked. But the 3 words feel different. Not theater, not performance, urgent. I drive. The storage facility sits behind a chain link fence off a road that doesn't see much traffic after dark. The lamplight is orange and exhausted. I park in a row of scarred concrete and follow the unit numbers down a hallway that smells like old carpet and sawdust. 447. The lock hangs open like a mouth. Everything in me goes hollow. I push the door up. A fluorescent bulb crackles awake and floods the unit with sickly light, and for a heartbeat I want to slam the door and run. Boxes are stacked in exacting rows, labeled in Maya's handwriting. Photos, 1996-2000. Journals, 1989 to 1995. Letters, unsent. Dates, names. There's a precise cruelty to the order of it, like a museum exhibit curated by the person who bled. My hands shake when I open the first box. A photograph slides free. Caroline at maybe 17, face bright like she swallowed the sun wrong and it's burning from the inside. Uncle Alan is next to her, hand on her shoulder, the contact too casual to notice unless you've learned to look. The date on the back is the year I first tried to say something, the year they told me I was confused. The second box is worse. It holds journals, cheap black notebooks, spines cracked, pages crowded with our uncle's tight, fussy handwriting. He logged everything. Dates, rooms, excuses. He wrote like a man giving himself awards. I sit down hard on the concrete and the cold climbs through my jeans into my bones. The third box is letters from Caroline, not sent, addressed to me, to our parents, to nobody. One is dated 3 years ago, around the time the family decided I'd become a problem. Her script wobbles, then evens out, the way people do when they're trying to look brave on paper. I hate your courage, she writes to me, because it names what I'm too afraid to touch. If you're the troublemaker, then I don't have to be the one who breaks the glass. I swallow a sound that isn't a sob, but lives next door to it. I don't know how long I sit there cataloging, photographing pages with my phone, uploading to a cloud folder like I'm kneeling at an altar that requires evidence instead of prayer. Footsteps echo in the corridor, a skitter of heels on concrete. Fight rises in my throat before thought. The door rattles. Then Maya is there in the opening, mascara poured down her cheeks, lavender bridesmaid dress gray under the fluorescent light. She looks like the end of a myth. "You came," she says, and her voice cracks. "What is this?" I point at everything. The years sorted into boxes, the photographs that steal breath. "How long have you—" "3 years." She steps inside and pulls the door down behind her so we're sealed in with the humming light and the past. After Grandma died, his basement. He labeled the boxes tax records. I don't know if he thought no one would check or if he wanted someone to find them, like a monument to his sickness. I pick up one of the journals and let it congest my hands. "You're in them," Maya says, voice too calm, like she used up panic and only has facts left. "Caroline's in them. I'm in them." She swallows. "Once, when I was 14, I told Mom the next morning. She said I misunderstood. She said he would never." The fluorescent flickers. The unit seems to tilt. "I wanted to back you up at Dad's birthday," she continues, words gathering speed like she's trying to get ahead of her shame. "I watched them erase you, and I stayed quiet. So I started collecting. Everything. The journals, photos, Mom's old planners. She took Caroline to a therapist twice a week for 3 years and pretends she doesn't remember. I made copies. I paid for a storage unit. I left sets with a lawyer. If anything happens to any of us, it goes public. It's grotesque and holy all at once, the way she has turned her terror into system, into archive. Why tonight, I ask. Why now?" Maya's laugh is a broken thing, because Caroline asked me to keep some letters safe, because she's marrying a kind man whose career depends on people who think Uncle Alan is a pillar, because she says this marriage is the first door out of a locked room, and if the truth blows the door off its hinges, he might run. She loves him. She says she can't be alone with it anymore. "So she wants me to carry it," I say, anger arriving a second later than it should. Again. "She wants you to know you weren't crazy," Maya says, softer. "And she wants you to decide what to do." "That's not fair." "No," Maya says, and for the first time tonight her voice has steel. "But you were the only one who told the truth when it cost you everything. You left instead of pretending. You're the only person I know who won't rewrite it to make it livable." My phone vibrates on the concrete. A text from Liam. "I'm here when you're ready." Another from a number I don't want to recognize, Jenna again. "Public battles eat people." I look up at Maya. "Tomorrow?" "Brunch at 11, she says. "Everyone will be there. Witnesses." "You want me to make a scene." "I want you to tell the truth," Maya says. But this time not alone. The unit's light hums like a nerve. I open the Cloud app and start a new shared folder. I take photos of every page I can stand to look at. I make backups of backups. I write an email to my lawyer with a scheduled send. When my hands finally stop shaking, the sky outside the roll-up door has gone black. Maya moves toward the exit and pauses. "Will you do it?" I don't recognize my voice at first because it's steady. "Yes." She nods, pulling the door up, letting in the night. "I'll be there." She fades down the hallway, lavender turned to smoke. I gather a small stack of documents, the most damning, the ones that name names without ambiguity. I lock the unit like I'm closing a wound I'll have to open again in daylight, then climb behind the wheel as the first, thin line of dawn imagines itself on the horizon. The road east holds its breath. In the mirror, the storage facility becomes a box, inside another box, inside another, getting smaller and smaller until it's just the shape of something I'm done letting name me. Tomorrow is the brunch. Tomorrow is the stage they built for pretending. Tomorrow is the day I stop playing the role they assigned me and speak in my own name. I drive home and let morning break over me like a verdict. By the time I pull into my apartment lot, the sky is rinsed in that pale pre-morning light that feels like the world hasn't chosen a mood yet. I carry the stack of copied pages upstairs like contraband, shut the door with my heel, and lay everything out on my dining table, the table I bought secondhand when I moved out 5 years ago, the first thing that was only mine. The paper flutters in the AC like it's trying to leave. It would be easy to skim, to let the gist be enough, but I force myself to read. Detail by detail, date by date, the way a surgeon studies an X-ray to decide how to cut. Uncle Alan's handwriting is meticulous, prissy. He gives himself gold stars in the margins for manipulation. Redirected, de-escalated, managed optics. He writes about us like we're columns in a ledger, risk and return. He memorializes the lies our parents chose, the nights they nodded, the days they insisted it was better to handle it within the family. He keeps notes on our faces. Compliant. Resistant. Threat. I don't realize I'm crying until a tear smears the ink and bleeds his neatness into a blur. I blot the page with the edge of my sleeve, mad at my own body for compassion toward a document. When compassion for us was so expensive, no one could afford it. My phone vibrates on the counter. Liam. I'm up. Didn't sleep. Tell me how to be useful. Me. Read this. Don't call. I need to finish first. I paste a link to the private folder, then watch the typing ellipses bloom and die, proof of restraint. He sends just a heart. I didn't know a single pixel could feel like a hand on your back, steadying you in a crowd. A second notification. Jenna again. The preview shows, this will get ugly. Fixers dig up whatever they can. Don't let them make... I swipe it away before it loads fully. A petty victory. I keep reading until the sun puts its palm on my window. The pages stack into a shape that could be called certainty. I photograph the last batch, run the offsite backups, time delay an email to a journalist I trust via a friend of a friend, then print a small set of the clearest excerpts, the entries with dates that line up with family events, the photos whose wrongness wouldn't need explanation in any courtroom, any backyard. The printer stutters like it's choking on years. I staple, slide the packet into a manila folder, and tuck it into my tote between my wallet and a half-broken umbrella. I'm not shaking anymore. That frightens me. It means I've crossed a threshold you don't uncross. A shower, jeans, black sweater, hair pulled back with a band from the bottom of a drawer. No makeup. I stare at my face long enough to see my mother, and then long enough to see only me. Then I leave. On the drive to my parents' house, the phone buzzes with texts from unknown numbers. Cousins, aunts, people who must have noticed I didn't attend. I ignore them. I pass the exit for Liam's place and don't take it. He'll be wherever I land later. He's that kind of person. He waits where you end up and calls that closeness. The neighborhood where we grew up is the same. Of course it is. Lawns cut in ruler straight lines. Hydrangeas doing their best impression of innocence. My parents' house has a white tent yawning across the backyard and cars reefed up both sides of the street. A string quartet saws polite music under the noise of 100 conversations and the clinking cheerfulness of glassware. My mother's parties always sound like they're auditioning for a brochure. I park at the far end of the block. My hands are steady when I kill the engine. My throat is not. As I walk up the flagstone path, a lavender flash near the caterer's station catches my eye. Maya, hair scraped into a low knot, same dress as last night, but rebuilt with bobby pins and willpower. Her mascara's gone. Her face has the clean, raw look of someone who cried until she ran out. She meets my eyes across the lawn and doesn't move. It feels like we're loading the same rifle and we only have one shot. Conversations delete themselves as I cut through. The quartet wobbles, then finds its footing. Uncle Alan stands near the patio, surrounded by men who like to lean on one leg when they're being important. His laugh is easy, the kind lifted from a commercial for trust. Mom sees me first. Evelyn's mouth goes small, her hand fluttering to smooth a napkin that doesn't need smoothing. Dad's fork stops midair. Robert tries to look like a man who can handle anything, but his knuckles go white around the handle. Look who decided to join us, Alan calls, voice rich with benevolence like he's granting me entry to something exclusive. Thought you had plans. Yeah, I say. The word is surprisingly calm in the air. I was reading your journals. The quartet stops. The backyard becomes a held breath. Phones turn toward me like flowers to sun. It's grotesque and helpful. I'm sending everyone a link, I add, my thumb hovering above the share button. Photographs, pages. It spans from 1989 to 2015. Names are redacted for minors. His aren't. What is this? Mom's voice is pinched. Avery? Not now, I say, and it's the first time I've ever told my mother no with my whole body. Alan's smile thins. I don't know what you think you have, but... Evidence, I say. Hey, evidence, I say, in your handwriting. I hit share. Alerts ding across the lawn like cracked bells. People lower their glasses to look at their screens. Alan takes one step toward me, then thinks better of it until he sees Caroline stand up. My sister's wedding band flickers as she braces her hands on the table to steady herself. Her new husband looks at her with real confusion and a tenderness that makes me want to cry again for a different reason. "Don't," Mom says to Caroline, a plea. "Sweetheart, not like this. Please." Caroline lifts her chin. She isn't the girl from the photograph. She's a woman trying to live with ghosts who never learn to knock. She walks to me, trembling. She doesn't touch me. It would break her. "She's telling the truth," Caroline says, and her voice is a rope thrown over a chasm. Everything she's saying is true. It's loud and quiet at once, the small sounds people make when a story they like collapses. A chair skids. A cousin whispers, "Oh my God." Maya steps up on my other side. "Me too," she says, soft, not a performance. "When I was 14. Uncle Alan turns gray the way paper ash goes gray before it lifts. He looks to my father, then to my brother, scanning for a script. My brother obliges, his face flushing the color of a warning. "You're destroying this family," he says. "You won't stop until there's nothing left." "The family was destroyed the day you chose him over us," I say evenly, and realize I believe it the way people believe in weather. "We're just pulling the tarp off." Phones keep lighting. The link opens. His handwriting walks into the daylight without flinching because it never imagined it would have to. "This is fabricated," Alan tries again, voice rising to a pitch where charm can't live. "This is revenge for—" "What? What, Avery? For refusing to indulge—" "For what specifically?" I ask. "Use your words." He can't. Predators need rooms that look the other way. Backyards full of polite people are great rooms. Dad finally speaks, and he's smaller than I've ever seen him, a man trying to herd lightning with his bare hands. "Avery, please, we can talk about this privately. We don't need to." "Her wedding day was yesterday," I say. "This is the day after. The day we stop making our pain palatable for other people's comfort." A woman I barely know, one of Mom's friends who smells like expensive gardenias, backs away like the truth is contagious. Maybe it is. God, I hope so. Caroline straightens and looks at our parents. She looks at me. She looks at the man whose last name she took a few hours ago, who is watching her with a kind of grief-tinged love. "I can't ask my husband to build a life on my silence," she says. "I did that with my family. I won't do it again." Mom starts to cry, but the tears feel like a costume she found in a closet. "What do you want?" she asks. "What would make this stop?" "Accountability," Maya says softly but clearly, like a bell rung once. "Police reports, statements, protection for the ones who were children, not spin, not handled in-house. An acknowledgement," I add, feeling the word settle into its true size. "Say what happened. Say you knew. Say you chose him. Then choose differently." No one moves. Somewhere near the hedge, a champagne flute gives up and falls, shattering. The quartet cannot find the measure again, so they don't try. I turn, because I have to leave before someone convinces me to barter what cannot be bargained. Caroline takes a breath like she's surfacing and steps with me. Maya follows. The three of us walk away from the tent and the ruin and the people refreshing a link that refuses to turn back into a rumor. As we reach the driveway, my phone rings. Unknown number. I answer without thinking. A woman's voice, older and made of tin and salt water. "Are you the one who sent the link?" "Yes." "I'm his sister," she says. "Our aunt." "He did it to me, too." The world tilts, then steadies. "Will you tell the police?" I ask. "Yes," she says. No space between breath and answer. "I won't die with it." I end the call with my head against the steering wheel, breathing like I'm learning it. When I look up, Caroline is staring at her band again like it's both weight and promise. Maya is already typing, thumbs flying, names, dates, momentum. I pull the car into gear. "Diner?" I ask. "Diner," Caroline says, like it's a destination and a prayer. We leave the white tent behind us to collapse without our help. Ahead, the road is a spill of asphalt and small miracles. In the rear view, a house finally loses its balance. In front of us, a neon sign winks. Open 24 hours. It's where people go after births and deaths and the kinds of declarations that feel like both. I park. We go inside. The waitress looks at our faces and does not ask questions. She brings coffee. It's terrible. It's perfect. I pick up my phone to text Liam. "I'm okay, with my sisters. I'll call when I can." His reply arrives fast. Proud of you. No timeline. I'm here. Jenna's voicemail dings a second later like the universe hates simple sequencing. I don't press play. Not yet. There's a pattern to protect and a future to arrange. Tomorrow, I say, wrapping my hands around the mug I'm not drinking from. Mom wants to meet. Maya's mouth thins. Caroline's eyes go far away, then back. We'll hear her, she says, and then we'll decide. Outside, somewhere, the backyard we left is writing a new story whether it wants to or not. Inside, the three of us sit at a cracked vinyl booth and decide not to shrink. Tomorrow will be the park. Tomorrow will be the oldest wound opened in daylight. Tonight, we're together, and that's a beginning. The diner's fluorescent light has that merciless honesty you only find in places that never close. The three of us, Caroline, Maya, and me, sit in a booth that smells like burnt coffee and fried eggs. Our reflection in the window looks like a lineup. Caroline hasn't stopped fidgeting with her wedding ring. Maya hasn't looked up from her phone. I'm stirring sugar into coffee I'll never drink. Everything feels suspended, like if we speak too loud, the fragile peace will shatter. I thought it would feel lighter, Caroline murmurs finally, voice hoarse, after saying it out loud. It doesn't, I say. It feels real. That's heavier. Maya sets her phone down, face pale but determined. The messages haven't stopped. 2 cousins already texted me too. One said Mom told her to forget what happened at the lake. Another said she thought she was crazy until tonight. Caroline covers her mouth, eyes glassy. He didn't just hurt us. No, I whisper. He never stopped. The waitress refills our mugs without asking. Maybe she recognizes the look. People who just detonated something sacred. Caroline breaks the silence again, words small. Mom texted me too. Said we should meet her in the morning, alone. I nod. We'll go, but not because she deserves it, because we need to see her without the mask. Maya folds her arms across her chest. And after that, we talk to the police, I say, with or without her help. They both nod. Quiet agreement, a pact written in exhaustion. When dawn bruises the horizon, I drop them off. Caroline at her husband's apartment, Maya at her small place near campus. Neither wants to be alone, but both need to be. I drive home with the radio off, the silence between static and thought. My apartment feels different now, not safer, just honest. I shower, change into sweats, and sit on the couch. My phone buzzes. Liam. Liam, are you safe? Me. Safe enough, with my sisters earlier. Liam, I'm proud of you. Whatever happens next, I'm here. That last line makes me close my eyes. The steadiness of it. He doesn't ask for details, doesn't flinch. Then another buzz. Jenna Morales. I sigh but open it. Jenna. You don't know me well, Avery, but you need to understand how far this could go. Fixers, lawyers, NDAs. They'll dig into your past, into Liam's, into anything. I've seen it before. Please be careful. For a second, I imagine her not as Liam's ex, but as someone who's lived through her own kind of war. Still, her message stings. They'll dig into Liam. I hate that part. I hate that my truth might splash onto someone who's done nothing but love me. I type thanks for the warning, but don't send it. By morning, news has already started to trickle online. Some relative leaked screenshots of the journals. The headlines are cautious. Prominent Seattle architect accused of misconduct by family members. Uncle Alan's photo sits beside the article, the same soft-eyed smile that once charmed everyone. My phone rings. It's Mom. I don't answer. Instead, I text her. Me. We'll meet you at the park, 10 a.m. Then I send the location to my sisters. At the park, we sit on a weathered bench near the pond, the same place where Dad used to take us to feed ducks when we were kids. The air smells of wet grass and iron. Mom is already there, wrapped in a long beige coat, eyes red, posture small. She looks up when she sees us. Thank you for coming, she says. We're not here for an apology, Caroline says, standing straight despite shaking hands. We're here for the truth. Mom nods slowly. You deserve that. She takes a long breath. When I was 16, my father, your grandfather, hurt me. For years. When Alan was a boy, he saw it. When he grew up, he repeated it. I told myself it was different, that he would never, her voice breaks. But when Caroline turned 15, I saw the same signs, and I froze. I convinced myself I was imagining it. Maya lets out a broken sound, something between a sob and disbelief. You knew? I suspected, Mom says, and I was a coward. My mother knew when it happened to me, and she said nothing. So I learned silence. I thought protecting the family meant pretending. Caroline's tears come fast now. You let him ruin us. Mom nods, tears spilling. Yes, and I will carry that guilt forever. I can't undo what I allowed. But I'll testify. I've already spoken to a lawyer. I'm divorcing your father. He knew too. He thought keeping it quiet would keep our family intact. The words hang there, heavy as stones. I can't find forgiveness, but I can find clarity. It's strange how the truth can wound and soothe at the same time. Mom reaches for my hand, tentative. I'm sorry, Avery. You were right to speak. You were the only one brave enough. I let her hand rest there for a moment before pulling away. Don't call it brave. Call it what it was. Necessary. She nods again. Alan fled to the lake house last night. Police are looking for him. They said he might try to cross into Canada. Maya stiffens. He won't get far. The evidence is everywhere now. Caroline exhales, a slow tremor. Then it begins. Later that night, back home, I sit by the window, watching rain stripe the glass. My phone buzzes again. Liam. Liam. I saw the article. How are you holding up? Me. Tired. But it's moving. He's running. Liam. Good. Don't second-guess yourself. Truth has its own gravity. Then a second message arrives. Jenna again. Jenna. You don't know me, but I knew your uncle's firm. I left when I saw how they buried complaints. What you did today matters. Don't let anyone silence you. I stare at it for a long time. Maybe she isn't the enemy I made her out to be. Outside, thunder rolls over the city. I think about the generations before us. My mother, her mother, how silence calcified into inheritance. And I think about the three of us. Me, Caroline, Maya. Women who refuse to inherit that silence. Tomorrow, the real storm will start. Police statements, court filings, news cameras. But tonight, I let myself feel the weight of it, the strange relief of truth finally breathing air. Somewhere, my sisters are doing the same. We are still shaking, but this time, not alone. It's astonishing how fast the world can collapse around one truth. By sunrise the next day, my phone is a battlefield. Notifications, reporters, cousins, strangers sending thoughts and prayers or thinly veiled threats disguised as concern. I put it face down on the kitchen counter and listen to the quiet hum of the refrigerator, the only sound that feels sane. The morning news hums in the background. Uncle Alan's photo flickers across the screen. Local architect accused of sexual misconduct by multiple family members. The anchor's tone is professional but curious, the kind that frames tragedy as content. Underneath the banner scroll, there's a clip of my father stepping outside his front door, shielding his face from cameras. Robert Hollis, no comment. I switch the TV off. The truth is public now. But public truth doesn't mean justice, it means exposure. Every lie fights for air before it dies. My phone buzzes again. Liam. Liam. They're camped outside my building too. You okay? Me. I expected it. Liam. Jenna reached out to me. Says she can help. Should I trust her? Me. Not sure, but don't shut her out yet. I hesitate before adding. Me. Thank you for staying. He replies instantly. Liam. I'm not staying. I'm standing beside you. Difference matters. That one text steadies me more than any therapy session ever has. At noon, my sisters and I meet with detectives downtown. The air smells like burnt coffee and disinfectant. Caroline clutches a folder of printed evidence. Maya has the USB drive with the digital archives. I carry the photo of Caroline at 17, the one that started this new understanding of everything. The detective assigned to us, Detective Ramos, has tired eyes but kind ones. We've received a flood of statements since your file went public, she says. He's fled the state. We're issuing a warrant. There's enough for an extradition case if he crosses north. Caroline swallows hard. How long? As long as it takes, Ramos replies. He can't run forever. 2 weeks later, he's caught. Border checkpoint near Vancouver, trying to leave under his own name. It makes me laugh bitterly, the arrogance of monsters who believe they're untouchable. The news breaks that night. Cameras swarm our street again. My landlord leaves a note asking me to kindly handle the attention, as if I invited it. I call Maya. She answers on the first ring. They got him. I know. For a long time, neither of us says anything. We just breathe. Then she whispers, does it ever end? No, I say honestly, but it changes. The first hearing is closed to the public, only victims and family allowed. The courtroom smells like paper and cold air. Uncle Alan sits at the defense table, smaller than I remember, but not enough. His eyes dart once toward me, then away, as if looking too long might remind him I'm real. Mom testifies. Her voice shakes, but she doesn't look at him. She looks at us, her daughters. I protected the wrong person, she says. I won't do that again. When she steps down, Maya reaches for her hand. I don't stop her. Caroline testifies next, recounting details that make even the stenographer flinch. Her husband sits behind her, hand gripping the bench, jaw tight. When she finishes, she walks back to our row and collapses beside me, trembling. I slide my hand over hers. Then it's my turn. I tell the truth, every detail I once swallowed, every way the silence grew teeth, every name, every room, every word he used to twist guilt into obedience. The prosecutor's questions are clinical, but my answers are not. They come like blood. When I finish, the courtroom feels carved out. Alan looks like a man stripped of his mythology. The power in the room has shifted. He knows it too. Weeks later, while the trial crawls forward, something unexpected happens. A package arrives at my apartment. No return address. Inside is a thick envelope, a USB drive, and a short handwritten note. I turn them down. The fixer, the firm, all of it. They wanted to smear you and Liam, dig into your pasts, twist it until the truth blurred. I couldn't let that happen. Thought you should know. I said no. Jenna. I stare at the note for a long time, my chest heavy with surprise and something close to gratitude. Liam calls an hour later. Did you get it? I did. She saved us from another lie. He exhales. Funny how the person you thought was your threat became your shield. Maybe we both misjudged her, I say softly. Maybe, he replies, but I'm glad you trusted your instincts anyway. For the first time in months, I let myself laugh, a real messy laugh that feels like oxygen. The trial drags on for over a year. The defense scrambles, discrediting witnesses, digging into family feuds, claiming financial motive. But the journals end it. His own handwriting, dated, signed. There's no arguing with that. When the verdict comes, guilty on all counts, the room exhales. Maya sobs quietly beside me. Caroline just closes her eyes. Mom holds her rosary like it's an anchor. I feel nothing at first, then everything all at once. 23 years. That's his sentence. He'll die in prison. After the hearing, Dad approaches us outside the courthouse. He looks older, edges frayed. You've destroyed this family, he says quietly. No, I tell him. You destroyed it when you decided silence was love. He doesn't reply, just turns and walks into a life that no longer includes us. And maybe that's okay. Months pass. Reporters lose interest. The headlines fade. Caroline writes again. This time about healing, about the long aftermath no one wants to film. Maya enrolls in grad school for social work, specializing in trauma recovery. Mom lives alone now, still trying to unlearn obedience. Sometimes she calls at night to ask if we're okay. I always tell her we're getting there. Because we are. Liam and I moved to a small house outside the city, near the coast. Sometimes I still wake up at 3 a.m. when the wind sounds like that storage unit's door rolling open. But now there's a hand that reaches for mine, steady and warm. The storm didn't end. It just moved. But this time, I'm not afraid of what it washes clean. 2 years later, I still flinch at the sound of a metal latch. Even a closing cabinet door can drag me back to that storage unit. The hum of the fluorescent light, the smell of cold paper, the moment everything I'd believed about my family collapsed. But I've learned something. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without surrendering. The sea helps. That's why I moved back near it. Liam and I rent a small cottage outside Port Townsend. It has a crooked porch, mismatched mugs, and a view that changes color with the hour. We don't talk about the trial much anymore, but sometimes, when the tide is low and gulls shriek across the rocks, I see the reflection of who I used to be. The woman standing on a beach, holding a phone full of proof, wondering if telling the truth would cost her everything. It did, but it also gave me more than I knew existed. Caroline visits often now, usually on weekends. Her husband comes too, quiet, patient, the kind of man who holds space instead of words. She's writing a memoir. She says the sentences help her breathe differently. She's learning how to exist without pretending. Maya's busier than ever. working in child advocacy. She calls every few days, exhausted but bright. Every kid I help feels like a piece of us getting mended, she told me once, like I'm planting something in soil we used to think was cursed. Mom still lives in the small apartment downtown. She goes to therapy weekly, something she used to call a luxury. Now she calls it survival maintenance. We speak carefully. The conversations are fragile, half healing, half apology, but they're real. That's enough. This morning, I got a letter from the State Corrections Board. Alan Hollis died in custody, stroke. No next of kin claimed the body. The letter was perfunctory, bureaucratic, stamped in blue ink. For your records. I folded it once and set it aside. No ceremony, no joy, just the flat relief of finality. When I told Caroline and Maya, we all went quiet. Caroline was the first to speak. Then maybe it's over. Or maybe, Maya said softly, it's just begun for the rest of us. We decided to meet that evening at the coast, the same stretch of beach where everything started for me. I brought a box. Inside were the journals, the originals, sealed in plastic and returned to us after the case closed. We could have archived them, donated them, but none of us wanted those pages to exist in the world anymore. They'd served their purpose. The wind was sharp when we arrived. Caroline's hair whipped across her face. Maya carried a lighter and a can of kerosene. The sun was setting, the sky the color of rust and forgiveness. We built a small fire pit, fed the journals one by one into the flames. They curled, blackened, and lifted as ash. Each page let go with a sound like a sigh. Caroline watched the smoke drift toward the water. Do you think it's enough? She asked. Maya tossed another handful of pages in. We told the truth. We broke the silence. We survived. That's enough. I nodded, but my voice cracked when I said, then why does it still hurt? Because the pain doesn't vanish, Caroline said gently. It just learns to take up less room. When the last page burned, we sat in the sand, knees drawn up, the fire between us. The ocean kept its rhythm. Wave, retreat, return. The same music that played the night I first refused to attend the wedding. I thought of the girl I was then, the one everyone called difficult, the one who mistook loneliness for punishment, the one who didn't yet know that naming a wound was the first step toward healing it. If I could talk to her now, I'd tell her, you weren't wrong, you were brave, you weren't alone, you were first. As the fire dimmed to embers, Maya leaned her head on my shoulder. Do you think this will reach anyone else? She whispered. Someone still trapped in their family's silence? I think it already has, I said. Truth echoes, even when you whisper it. Caroline smiled, small but real. Then maybe we're the first quiet generation who refused to keep the secret. The three of us sat there until the tide rose close enough to kiss the ashes away. Behind us, the horizon bled orange into night. Ahead of us, only the sound of water carrying smoke into somewhere new. I stood, brushed sand off my jeans, and looked at my sisters, whole in ways none of us thought possible. Let's go home, I said. Because for the first time in our lives, that word meant something honest.